Welcome back, everybody, to another installment of the NTC podcast. This time we are live from Las Vegas, UNLV Summer League. This is day 3 of Summer League, but this is day 1 for NTC. So we're glad that you guys have taken the time to join us. Here to join me this afternoon on the set is Combo, host of the Combo's Court podcast. We've had a few interactions in the past. We met up in Atlanta, but this is our first time getting to link up in Vegas. So, Combo, I want to thank you for your time, man. Always great to link up with you and talk hoops with you. I hope everything's been going well, and you're powering through as best as you can, like me, fresh off a flight over to Vegas, man. But good to see you again.
Yeah, good to see you too. Not a lot of sleep, but I remember walking by here every year. I don't know exactly how long you've been doing it, and I always looked at it as like, that's something I want to be a part of. So, I take in these moments. I love these moments, and I appreciate you giving me the time here to talk basketball with you.
Anytime, man. I'm more than happy to do so. But, yeah, this studio is incredible. The set is great,
yeah,
so
definitely.
you've got to take advantage of it when possible.
Most definitely.
So, Combo, man, I wanted to bring you on today to discuss pretty much the NBA draft and then also Summer League as well.
Okay.
So, some Summer League stories. So, we had the draft just about a month ago, if you can believe it. And then Summer League just started last week.
Yeah.
So this is it's really back-to-back. It's kind of all piled up together in the NBA calendar. But it's great for us as hoops fans because there's no shortage of action.
Right,
There's always something going on. There's
right.
always a player to talk about, a team to cover. So we're really spoiled right now, I guess is what I'm trying to say.
Definitely, definitely.
There's so much to cover, man. So I really want to kind of start at the top of the draft specifically with Zachary Risacher that just got drafted to the Atlanta Hawks. Another Frenchman that comes over and has a great resume. He has great size, great measurables, and he's coming in for the Hawks team that is looking for some direction right now. They traded DeJounte Murray to New Orleans Pelicans, and Trae Young is still in the fold, but they're kind of in transition right now. We don't really know what they are. They didn't make the playoffs last season. With a team constructed the way they are, I think they're still trying to win. I don't think they're in tank mode necessarily, but things are kind of iffy for them. So, what do you think about that selection of Risacher, and would you have personally maybe gone with someone different in their position?
I would have went with somebody different, but it doesn't surprise me because this league has always been a copycat league, right?
Right.
The big French guy, there was a big French guy last year, right? I think what's his name? Wemby, maybe?
Yeah, Wemby. I think I've heard of him. Yeah.
But, yeah, I think that's a big part of it, and the top 2 guys happen to be international. My biggest takeaway from this, top 4 out of the top 5 All-NBA players, right, first team, international guys, top 2 guys, international guys.
Yep.
I've been thinking about, what are we doing wrong here, and how do we get back to the top of the top?
Yep.
Because we definitely have the deepest pool, but I think we have to regain some of the power in the NBA when it comes to the top guys, right?
For sure.
The last 6 MVPs have been international players. And also what we got to do is win gold this year.
Yes. We got to take home the gold, man. With a team like that, it's gold or bust.
Yes, yes.
It's all on the table.
But with Zach, I think there's definitely some 3-and-D potential. He has nice length. He definitely needs to get stronger, right? Yep. I think that's something that everybody sees in him, that he has to get stronger. But he's showing some nice flashes out here in Summer League.
Oh, yeah. I love what I've seen from him so far. He's only played 1 game so far, but he had 18 points, 5 rebounds, 7 of 16 shooting. Mm-hmm. So the signs are there of what he can bring to the table for the Hawks. And, people go back and forth about who they should have selected, but the fact of the matter is they did take Risacher, and I think there's a lot of potential there to be harnessed, to be unlocked. So for them, it's just about trying to just get the best out of him possible, a guy that's international, that's trying to make a name for the Frenchman, as we said before.
Right.
And if all goes according to plan, this turnaround, this retool might not be that long for the Hawks.
Yeah, I think so. I mean, it really depends on what they're going to do with Trae.
Yeah, that's the big question
mark. I thought it was Trae to the Spurs. I kind of like the idea of one of the best lob passers in the league and the best lob threat in the league, but they got another great lob passer in CP3.
Sure did.
Even though he's a little bit older,
True.
I do like the fit a lot better than what he was with the Warriors because with the Warriors, I felt it was really interesting with the Warriors because with the Warriors, the way they played basketball kind of eliminated the CP3 archetype of player. Yep. And then CP3 actually goes to that team, which was kind of weird, right?
It's crazy.
So now we see him in a system that I think will benefit, even though he's a little bit older, will really benefit CP3. And I think CP3 playing with Wemby is going to really benefit Wemby. Like, we saw Jeremy Sohan playing the point guard for this team. Now you got a CP3 in there.
Such an upgrade.
Yeah, I think he's really going to help Wemby. And we also see what Castle's doing out there. So I really like the Spurs team. Harrison Barnes was added. I actually think they have some playoff potential.
Me too, man. Me too. I'm really hopeful that this is going to work out well for the Spurs. And they're traditionally a winning organization. So this is not something they're familiar with right now, going through multiple years in the lottery.
Right.
But they're a great organization, and they're making great decisions, at least on paper right now. And having Wemby there, it's probably not going to be too long before they're back in the mix. They're going to be
top
just
10
fine.
guy maybe this year already.
Yep.
Who knows?
No, for sure, 100%. So, I want to talk a little bit now, Combo, about some of your favorite fits here as far as like players to their teams, respective teams. So, just want to ask you, get your opinion on some players. They're going to a situation that you think are going to be very good for their development, because when it comes to young guys and when they get drafted, the big part of the battle is just fitting in, just finding their role aside from all the talent. So who are a few players that you look at and then I'll look at the respective teams and you say, like, I'm really glad that that team took that player. I really feel like they're going to plug right in and have a great role for that franchise.
Yeah, I think it's a great segue from who we were just talking about with the Spurs. I think Castle can learn a lot from CP3.
Yep.
I love the way he plays both sides of the floor. It feels like a guy that Pop would really appreciate. He gets to play with Wemby. He gets to grow with Wemby. We see the defense now. The shooting has to get better.
Yeah,
but
that's the thing.
Under the tutelage of CP3, I think this is going to be really great for Castle, and I love the fit there.
Absolutely. With Castle, the two-way potential there is really strong.
And he's big. When I saw you today, you're a lot taller than I think. And then whenever I watch him play, he doesn't seem 6'6" to me. And
he
I'm
doesn't.
Like, and I look at he's 6'6" with that kind of wingspan. Yeah. Like, you don't even realize it because he moves with such fluidity.
He does.
Yeah.
He's so strong. He gets to the rim almost anytime he wants.
Yes.
He really just has to work on his finishing ability in the paint. But, like, it's going to be there for him. Drawing free throws, paint touches, that's not something that's a problem for him at his size and just the way he carries himself and handles the ball. So, no, I'm with you. I really like that fit for the Spurs. It seems like something that they're in need of right now.
Right.
Speaking of need, the Grizzlies were really in need of a big guy next to Jaren Jackson. USA Basketball exposed him last year in that center role. He's not built to be a full-time center. He's generating 2 or 3 rebounds a game for Team USA, and I think that kind of told the Grizzlies and the rest of the NBA that's not his clear-cut role. Bringing in Zach Edey now for that team at, 7'4", just an absolute gargantuan human being, being next to Jaren Jackson, being able to do the dirty work, the shot blocking, the rebounding, and letting Jaren just be himself, be a roamer, be a weak side help defender, be a great three-point shooter. I think that's all going to work out really well for them. But what do you think about Zach going to the Grizzlies at the number 9 pick?
Yeah, it's interesting. I think I was on more of the skeptical side when it came to Klingon and Zach Edey because I don't know what they are in the modern NBA, really.
Right,
But, all trends have a tipping point, right? You go too small, you bring in a big. That tipping point happened already, right? I think it's not small ball anymore. It's more skill ball, right?
Yeah.
It's like
I would say so.
You could play any size as long as you're versatile and you could play multiple positions.
Yep.
But with Klingon and Zach Edey, I guess I kind of grouped them in together, even though Zach Edey is showing a lot more than Klingon right now. I just didn't know how their game translates in the modern NBA. Like, are you going to go to Zach Edey post touches often, or is he going to turn into more of a rim runner? I don't know if he's that type of athlete where he's an elite rim runner like a Lively. So I'm trying to figure out what he's going to be. Can you target him in the playoffs? So I still have all these questions. I like what I'm seeing in Summer League.
For sure.
But I'm a little bit skeptical when it comes to Edey, and even more so Klingon.
I'm with you. Those types of big men, they're a little bit outdated in terms of guys that just get low post touches and make something happen in the paint.
Yeah.
But I think they still bring something to the table that's very strong, that's very marketable, that's going to help their teams. Klingon specifically, I think for him, just being so he's big, but he's decently fluid as well, and he has a lot of skill.
Yeah.
So for both of those
if
guys,
these guys weren't decently fluid, they wouldn't even get a look, right?
No, that's true. That's true. You got to have that. If you're gargantuan and you're not a freaking Wemby or something,
Exactly.
you have to have something else to bring to the table.
Exactly.
But we're talking about guys that are tough and that are going to be defensive stalwarts. It looks like Devin Carter is going to have that role for Sacramento. Now, it's really a bummer because we're not going to be able to watch him out here this week in Summer League. He had shoulder surgery, so he's more than likely not going to play until actually deep into the regular season. I think he's going to be out for 6 months right now. But drafting him, I think, is a great fit for Sacramento. They need more defensive versatility. They got DeRozan. He's not the best defender. So having Devin Carter in the backcourt next to either Monk or Fox is going to be really strong for their defense. But, how do you feel about him going to that franchise? Because he's one of those late risers in the draft that kind of came out of nowhere.
He is. He's probably one of the better defensive draft prospects, right, that came out of this year's draft. My thing, I want to ask you more of a general Kings question, though.
Okay.
How do you feel this team fits with DeMar? Because I just had Deuce Mason on, who's from the Deuce and Mo podcast, and he loves the fit. He thinks Malik Monk provides shooting. He thinks Fox has improved upon his shooting. But I think I'm a little bit skeptical when it comes to the fit of their 3-star players. I always talk about how star fit is so important. they're obviously all really good basketball players. I think DeMar DeRozan has like 20,000 career points. I mean, that guy could score the basketball.
Straight bucket.
But how do you feel about their team from a spacing standpoint, or does that even matter? Do good basketball players just figure it out?
That's a great question, Combo. And I actually discussed this on our podcast in NTC just last week.
Okay.
Once the sign and trade happened. And basically my conclusion was it's a good fit, not a great fit. His three-point shooting is actually a little bit underrated. If you go back and look at only catch and shoot attempts for him, and you go back and look at corner three-point attempts last season, he was actually pretty solid.
Yeah.
He's just not a guy that you're going to rely on to get shots off the dribble. He's not going to pull up like Curry or Dame, right off a screen. That's not his game. But he can hit open shots, if he's given space, to which he will have in that lineup with all those other offensive talents. And then he's a great distributor of the basketball. When he was to San Antonio, he really generated that part of his game as like a point forward.
Right.
So he can really be in that role to where he handles the ball, and he's not going to be a ball stopper.
Right.
So he's not going to be a Melo to where he catches and he's going to jab step for 5 minutes.
He
used to do something like that.
Yeah, that's crazy.
So I think he's going to be a ball mover. I think he's actually going to fit in decently well. Now, I don't think it's seamless. There's going to be growing pains because Fox is not used to playing with a guy like that, or Sabonis. But I think it can really work out for them because they needed a little bit more diversity in the offense. Barnes was just kind of, he's a great player, but
he's got the Spurs now.
He's with the Spurs. Yeah, that's true.
Yeah.
So for me, yes, I like it, and I actually think there are some facets of DeMar's game that are underrated that can help him be a solid fit with that team.
Okay, I respect it. I don't know. I don't know if they actually Deuce even said he doesn't think they're not legit title contenders.
I'm with that, yeah. I'm with that.
The West is just too tough.
It's so stacked, man.
Yeah,
I mean, it goes 10, 12 deep right now.
Yeah,
so, I mean,
definitely.
you're talking about how much there is in terms of talent in that conference.
Yeah.
It's really hard to crack that, even with DeRozan.
Yeah, I tend to agree.
Yeah.
I tend to agree.
But let's talk about fits that may not be the most seamless. So if we're talking about players now that are going to a team and you say, like, this could work out for them, but I'd actually maybe rather than see them go to a different team. Are there any players in this draft to where you kind of worry a little bit about their fit with that respective team, and it may not be as seamless?
It's interesting because I feel like this draft was more about fit than ever before, right? Because it was kind of no clear-cut best available in a lot of situations.
It's wide open.
It was interesting. I do feel like the Portland Trailblazers could have done a better job of just picking the best available.
Yeah.
Like, I was surprised Dalton Connect went that deep. I thought he was a top 10 guy.
Yeah.
I thought Topic, who's hurt now, is a guy that maybe they could have drafted and just kept developing their other guards.
True.
Yeah, I don't really know about that fit with Portland, even though they do need a big, because it's like I would just try and get some more talent in there.
That's where I was at. I actually had hit him on my list as far as fits that I'm not thrilled about.
Yeah.
Now they have 3 legit centers. Aiden, Klingon, and Robert Williams, who admittedly isn't healthy much of the time, but they still have
That's
3.
why I was saying they might need one, but
it's tough. Like having 3 starting caliber centers is really tough. So that means they're all going to get less opportunities to grow, especially with Klingon. He needs the reps. So he's not going to get that opportunity right now. Maybe they look at trading one of those guys. I think it'd be in their best interest for one of those guys to be moved on. It's just a really tough situation right now with 3 guys like that are all really solid. We'll see what they do, but right now it's not the best fit. Maybe I wouldn't have done that in their position, but we'll see.
I mean, I was surprised Dalton fell that deep. Like around that pick, right, where the Trailblazers, I was thinking every pick, okay, Dalton's going to go now.
Yeah.
Dalton's going to go now. I was surprised. I'm like, whoa.
Yeah,
and then the Lakers they got lucky.
They really did.
Yeah.
That's a great fit. And another player to where, like, and let me be clear, I love this player. I think I would have loved to see the Grizzlies get him.
That always means you don't really love the player. No, I'm just joking.
I love him, but I don't. But a player that I really think can have a great career, Ron Holland. And he came from the G League Ignite. And I actually followed the Ignite pretty closely last season. I interviewed a couple other players, Tyler Smith and London Johnson. So I like their program, what they did there. But for Ron Holland, a guy that we're shooting is his biggest detriment right now, going to Detroit, and yes, they did pick up some shooting in free agency, but that team is still in flux, and they just came off one of the worst seasons in franchise history. A guy like Ron Holland that's kind of hilter, skilter, and all over the place, going to a franchise that's going through a rough patch right now, I kind of worry a little bit for him that he might get kind of lost in the weeds there.
He's just in the G League Ignite again.
Yeah, exactly. They were 2-32, man, and now he's going to a franchise where it's going to be a lot more losing, unfortunately. So I worry for him, but I hope he can overcome it because I love his athletic tools. at number 5, and his upside, I think, is really clear there. But how do you feel about that?
Yeah, he's shown some fun stuff in Summer League, driving to the basket
For sure.
and things of that nature. I mean, they got Tobias in there. Maybe he could help out in the locker room. And Tobias is known as like a professional's professional.
Yep.
So maybe he could help Ron out there. Also, when you look at guys that at some point were looked at the number 1 pick in the draft, you never give up on those guys, right? Like, there's something there. There was a reason why they were talked about in that regard.
For sure.
So he was looked at as the number 1 guy at one point.
He was,
yeah,
I remember.
And I think that, with Detroit, they might have something there. We got to see. Cade is an interesting mix. They got Durant. So,
yeah.
I mean, Tobias is going to want his minutes. So we'll see. But they're going to have to play this guy, right, in the position they're in. I mean, it's not win now mode. So
exactly. Right now, it's just evaluation mode. They're just trying to see what they have. But it's just tough because
they extended Cade, which is good. I love Cade. I love Cade's game.
Max rookie extension for Cade, over $200 million.
What do you think about the argument that, like, how good is he if he's on a team that loses that many games in a row? Because that was people's argument to me when I'm like, no, Cade is great. Like, I lost no faith in Cade.
Yeah. I think that their situation of their team could really cloud his impact. Because when you look at his stat lines, he had a lot of great stat lines last year and a lot of great moments where he really popped for them. But then you would look in this box score, and, I would joke around with my friend all the time because he has Cade on his dynasty basketball team. We're in the same league.
Okay.
And he got killed so many games last season because he had a lot of turnovers.
Right.
In our league, you lose 2 points for every turnover. So if he has 5 turnovers, you're losing 10 points right off the bat before anything else.
I mean, and who's Cade playing with? So that makes it tough, too.
That's the problem.
Yeah.
You're playing with Azar and guys that can't space the floor, Isaiah Stewart, and guys like that. It's just really tough for him to get any kind of space.
Yeah.
And he's not one of those guys that's going to be a consistent guy that's going to put pressure on the rim. He's not the most shifty or the most fluid with the ball. He relies more on just creating a little bit of separation with his size.
Right.
So it was really a tough situation for him to be in. But I don't blame Detroit for giving him that extension because the outline of a great player is there. He just needs to be in a better situation where they're not losing 80-85% of their games.
Yeah, I love his feel for basketball. Like just watching Cade play is like often poetry in motion.
Sure.
I just love the way he plays. He has great feel. He's not the craziest athlete in the world, but
he brings other things to the table.
Yeah,
other great attributes.
Definitely.
Yeah. So that's definitely a tough situation for them. But I think there's going to be players that we think go to a bad situation that are going to pop. And then vice versa, there's going to be players that we think are in a perfect team that they're going to struggle. It really comes down to how the team utilizes them and then how much they show a desire to learn and grow through Summer League and then other opportunities that they may have kind of sprinkled throughout the calendar. But now, Kama, I wanted to transition into a time of a few players that we might be keeping an eye on as we go into Summer League. I'm sure like before you got out here, there's a few guys that you said, like, okay, I really want to watch him in action because I think he's going to have a great performance, or I'm just really like unsure about how he's going to do. For me, you know me, man. Like, I'm a big Heat guy. I love watching the Heat and do their thing. And every year they have somebody that pops. It was Jaime Jaquez Jr. last season. And
it was Max Strus the year before.
It was Max Strus the year before, yep. And, Jaime had a 29-point, 11-rebound double-double yesterday in a close win against the Celtics here at Summer League.
Oh, yeah. He might be a too good for Summer League guy.
Exactly. He's too good for Summer League, man. So that was him last year and this year. And then this year, I really keyed in on Kel'el Ware, the number 15 pick that they had in this draft. Like, his tools at 7 feet tall with his long arms and being a shot blocker and a little bit of a hint of three-point shooting in there as well, potentially. I think it's really exciting. So a little bit biased on this one, but that's one of the guys that I come in here in the Summer League and I'm like, I need to see him in action. I've watched him a little bit on TV. I want to see him in person because I think he has the tools to be a really great player and another Miami Heat steal just outside the lottery in another NBA draft for him.
Yeah, the Heat do a great job of not only identifying talent, but developing that talent. They have a great coaching staff. I love everything they do there. The two guys I wanted to really look at was Dalton Connect. And I always, obviously I tweeted, why is he falling? He's falling. I didn't get it. But on top of that, he's showing even more craft as a finisher than I seen in college. I remember it was off of Bronny miss. No diss to Bronny. No shade. I'm just saying that was the play, guys. All right.
Yep.
So he went left, right, hook, euro with the same leg, and I'm like, this guy got some craft on top of the athleticism and the skill. Yeah. So I love everything he's doing. And then Reed Shepherd, the number 1 pick out of the Americans.
Man. He was saucing out there the other day, man.
He impressed me because I didn't understand the whole Reed Shepherd on number 1 on big boards, but he really impressed me that day. And his feet even looked lighter than it did in college. And then obviously the shooting is incredible, and it looks incredible out here as well.
Maybe we overthought this whole process of him coming through the draft because he's a Kentucky guard. Can you remember a Kentucky guard in the last 5 years that did not pan out in the NBA?
Yeah, nah.
It doesn't happen.
It's crazy.
So if he's going to come in here and he's going to be in that situation, maybe we should have given him the benefit of a doubt. And then on top of that, you have the shooting numbers. I mean, I think he was 50% from the field and over 40%, like 43% from the three-point line in college on 4 or 5 attempts a game, if not more. So when you look at his body of work, now I can understand why he was, number one in some people's mock drafts. I was surprised as well when I saw that. I was like, I don't know about that one, but it makes sense the more you think about it.
I'm not going to lie. I was thinking like he's like a Grayson Allen.
Yeah.
I mean, that's what I saw. I mean, he obviously shot it at a higher percentage than Grayson did at Duke, so that's something. But I kind of saw like that type of player. And Grayson's pretty good, but number 3 overall, I know it was a weak draft. It seemed kind of crazy. I don't know. Yeah. But hey, he's proven me wrong. He's playing great.
He did fantastic out here, man. Just another example of the Kentucky lineage continues. Like,
I mean, will it continue without Calipari? That's the next question.
That's the question. The only time will tell.
Calipari gets a lot of hate, but he's obviously recruiting right.
For sure. No, that's something he does really well, man.
Yeah.
Not sure how much you've gotten to watch any of the G League Ignite guys, but Montas Buzelis, Tyler Smith played yesterday
To
here.
be honest, I wanted Montas to go number 1.
Oh, yeah. I've seen that. I saw him in some mock drafts pretty high. But I think the Bulls got a great deal getting him where they did. I want to say number 11, Chicago. He's pretty fluid at his size, 6'9".
Mm-hmm.
He looks pretty light on his feet. Watched him yesterday play against his old teammate Tyler Smith. That's with the Bucks.
Yeah, okay.
So they went toe-to-toe.
That was cool.
And, Tyler had a corner three-pointer right in his eye, heavily contested. And then, they were talking back and forth. So that was a fun little contest to watch.
Yeah.
But for Montas, I think he's going to need to bulk up a little bit, obviously. And his shooting consistency is going to need to improve. Yesterday, a lot of his attempts were just kind of all over the place. But you can see the form. You can see his ability to get separation off the dribble.
Yeah.
And you can see his ability to just be a pretty fluid guy on the defensive end as well.
Yeah.
He could be a underrated shot blocker, too.
Yeah, I think you nailed it because I think he has feel on both sides of the floor. He changes shots on the defensive end, and then he's a great mover. He's a great ball mover on the offensive end. I think that's an underrated skill set and you could see what he could do off the dribble. And you mentioned the shooting has to get better, but he has everything else, and that's kind of why I liked him at number 1. Because there was like 15 guys that could have went number 1, but I liked him.
It was
but I liked him because he had the size, the feel, the athleticism, and the two-way impact. And I feel like he can become better as a shooter.
Big time. And if we're talking about shooting, that's something that Tyler Smith already has in his bag. He's a lefty. He's a 6'10" lefty. He kind of reminds me of Chris Bosh a little bit.
Yeah, a little bit.
To where he just he has such a fluid motion. It's easy for him.
Yeah.
And he hit a couple threes yesterday, back to back actually. I think it was the end of the first half. Watching that game, he looks so comfortable out there in that position. Now he's going to need to work on getting to the rim, and I talked with him about that and how coaches were urging him to get a little bit more physical. But as far as his ability to be a stretch 4, I think he's going to slot in nicely, and it's another great developmental piece for the Milwaukee Bucks, who they're getting a little bit older, so they're going to need to start prioritizing guys coming through the pipeline a little bit more. But I like what I've seen from him so far.
Yeah, and I mean, stretch bigs in general work well with Giannis, and Giannis is going to be there for a while, so maybe he could even give him a few minutes this year. Who knows? I mean, they have injury history is crazy with the Bucks, so maybe he'll get to play a little bit this year. I think he's a perfect fit for them, and you always need a good stretch 4,
Absolutely, man.
Yeah.
I want to open this up. So we talked about players specifically who we're keeping an eye on in Summer League. Let's open it up, talk a little bit more broadly about a team that we maybe should be watching pretty closely out here. I don't know if you've had a chance to look at the Utah Jazz roster out here at Summer League, but when I saw it at first, I was shocked by the amount of legitimate NBA talent on that team. Just a few names to point out here real quick. Cody Williams, Kyle Flipowski, Isaiah Collier, Bryce Senzabo, Taylor Hendricks, just to name a few guys. So all these players are legitimate NBA caliber guys.
Yeah.
And several of them will have rotation spots on their teams going into next season. Walker Kessler even played in the Salt Lake City Summer League before coming out here to Vegas.
He did. He looked like he didn't want to be there. I don't know. I
was surprised.
Yeah.
As the third-year guy that he was out there.
Yeah. He was playing really well, but he was very stoic. Maybe that's his personality.
He was. He's like,
he called a fast break dunk. The teammates got hyped, and he just walked he wasn't too happy.
He pulled the whole I'm just here so I don't get fined spiel.
Yeah, I mean, he's linked to the Knicks, so who knows if he's on the move, So we'll see.
That's really interesting. Yeah, but all those players I want to watch closely. Cody Williams had a great breakout performance yesterday.
He did.
21 points, 9 of 15 shooting, 3 threes versus the Dallas Mavericks, 1-point win. So Cody Williams, another like young, lanky guy.
Yeah.
I was kind of a little bit surprised they took Cody Williams because he seems like he has some similarities to Taylor Hendricks, who they picked last year.
Okay.
Similar build, 6'8", 6'9", lanky, defensive versatility, the ability to hit the three-point shot. So I think for them it was just about best available, best talent on the board. That's probably why they did it, even though he overlaps a little bit with Taylor Hendricks. How do you feel about this Utah Jazz roster? Like, do you think they could be one of the favorites to win Summer League, win the Summer League championship possibly?
Yeah, definitely. I always looked at Kyle Filipowski as a really good basketball player. That another guy, I don't know how his game translates in the NBA.
Yeah, kind of like Edie and Clinton a little bit.
They're a little different because, I mean, he's a little bit smaller and probably the guard skills are a little bit better.
Yeah, true. The passing is better.
But, like, in the NBA, the biggest question on the defensive side of the ball is, can you guard anybody? Can you guard everybody?
Right.
And I have that question for him. And then on offense, what position is he? I mean, I don't know, 3, 4, 5. I'm not really sure.
Yeah.
So, but he's he's not like Timmy because they play differently, but he's like Timmy in the sense that he's a really good basketball player, but I don't know if he fits the modern NBA.
Right. Yeah, there's a lot of questions to be answered about this Utah Jazz team and all these players. But regardless, Combo, I think it's going to be a great Summer League time that we have out here, just getting to watch all these guys develop. That's the beauty of it. And I think it's going to be a ton of fun just to kind of see these guys develop. And, we'll see what they can do with the minutes they're given. It's going to be so exciting, man.
We will.
We could talk all day about this, man. I'm sure we can go back and forth. I'm sure we'll get more opportunities, but I'll have to let you go up for this one.
Okay.
But, Com, I want to thank you again for taking the time to join me on the NTC podcast for our first Summer League show. It's been a great time. I really appreciate it, man, and hopefully we can, have a lot of fun out here this week, Summer League.
Thanks for giving me the opportunity, man. I told you, I always walk by here every Summer League. I'll be like, this is something I want to be a part of, and you gave me the opportunity. I really appreciate you, Aaron. Thank you so much.
You got it, man. Anytime.
Talk soon. Give me a handshake, Aaron.
Yes, sir. Be sure to watch the rest of this week, guys, as we're going to be out here in Summer League at the studio. We have more to come, a lot of great guests like Combo, so we hope you guys will stick with us for the rest of Summer League and really enjoy this time of basketball here this week, guys. So thanks for joining us, and we'll see you next time.
Peace.